Former UFC champion Leon Edwards is embracing the underdog role heading into his pivotal UFC 322 clash with Carlos Prates, drawing parallels to Kamaru Usman's recent career resurgence as evidence that narratives can shift dramatically with a single performance. The British veteran, who finds himself in the unfamiliar position of being written off by many fans and analysts, addressed the skepticism with characteristic composure during Wednesday's pre-fight news conference. "That's the game, right?" Edwards told MMA Junkie and other reporters. "Kamaru was on a 2 or 3 fight losing streak, and they said the same thing. He's done, blah blah blah." Edwards pointed to his former rival's recent redemption arc as a blueprint for how quickly perceptions can change in the fight game. Usman, after suffering 3 consecutive losses, including 2 to Edwards himself, successfully rebounded with a dominant victory over Joaquin Buckley in June, immediately reinserting himself into the championship conversation. Then he comes out and beats Buckley. Now he's like, "I want to fight for the title." That's just the game that we're in. It's, "What have you done for me lately?" It is what it is. After Saturday night, we'll go from there. This philosophical approach underscores Edwards' understanding of MMA's fickle nature, where a fighter's stock can plummet after a couple of losses, only to skyrocket again with one impressive victory. For Edwards, who dropped back-to-back fights to Belal Muhammad and Sean Brady before his current 2-fight winning streak, a statement win over the dangerous Prates could instantly reposition him in the welterweight title picture. The matchup represents a stylistic shift for Edwards, marking his first encounter with a primarily striking-based opponent after a series of grueling battles against elite wrestlers. This change could play to his advantages, allowing him to showcase the technical striking that once made him champion without the constant threat of takedowns that defined his recent fights. As Edwards prepares to step into Madison Square Garden, he carries not just the weight of expectation, but the opportunity to silence doubters and prove that his championship pedigree remains intact. In a division where Usman has already demonstrated that career obituaries can be premature, Edwards aims to author his own comeback story and remind the MMA world why he once wore welterweight gold. UFC. Following his recent release from the UFC, charismatic heavyweight Chris Barnett has emerged as a potential target for bare knuckle fighting championship, with promotion president David Feldman revealing that there's a probability that we'll be talking to Chris Barnett shortly. The 39-year-old fan favorite, who compiled a 2-4 record during his UFC tenure, became a free agent after his loss to Hamdi Abdul-Wahab at UFC 321 last month. While his UFC run yielded mixed results, Barnett's all-action style and personality have clearly caught the attention of BKFC's leadership. "We were just talking about that a little bit ago," Feldman told Bloody Elbow when asked about potential interest in Barnett. "It's a possibility, because what we want guys that will come out and fight and won't back down. They can knock someone out or get knocked out, and that's Chris Barnett." Feldman specifically highlighted the qualities that make Barnett an attractive addition to the bare-knuckle landscape. He'll go in there, he'll either get knocked out or he'll knock someone out. He'll put everything he has into it, and he also is a character, so that's something we're looking for. Barnett brings relevant experience to the table, having previously competed in a bare-knuckle bout that ended in a no contest under the BYB banner in 2020. His professional record of 18 knockout victories in 33 MMA fights suggests his power would translate well to the bare-knuckle format. The potential signing aligns with BKFC's strategy of recruiting recognizable names from the UFC who possess exciting styles. The promotion has found tremendous success with former UFC veterans like Mike Perry and current heavyweight champion Ben Rothwell. Incidentally, the same opponent Barnett faced in his UFC debut back in 2021. Feldman's comments come as BKFC continues to expand its roster with notable UFC alumni.
This weekend, former UFC headliner Aspen Ladd makes her promotional debut against Cheyenne Bitliff at BKFC 84, continuing the trend of established MMA fighters transitioning to bare-knuckle competition. For Barnett, a move to BKFC could represent an opportunity to extend his combat sports career while capitalizing on the fan-friendly style that made him a cult favorite during his UFC run. His combination of knockout power, willingness to engage in firefights, and charismatic personality appears to be exactly what Feldman and BKFC are seeking as they continue to grow their heavyweight division.
Jon Jones is pulling out all the stops in his campaign for a spot on the historic UFC White House card, releasing a professionally produced promotional video that frames his potential participation as a patriotic celebration of American values and fighting spirit. The former heavyweight champion, who retired earlier this year rather than defend his title against Tom Aspinall, has been actively lobbying for inclusion on the 2026 event since its announcement. Despite UFC CEO Dana White's apparent reluctance to accommodate him, Jones doubled down with a social media post featuring a slickly edited video and the caption, "It just makes sense. The best country on earth, the best fighter on earth." In the video, Jones seamlessly connects American history with his own fighting philosophy, creating a narrative that positions his potential White House appearance as the ultimate expression of national pride. In the summer of 2026, America turns 250 years old, and I couldn't be more proud to call myself an American, Jones begins, establishing the patriotic tone. I love this country, the people, the promise, the fight. This nation was built on courage and conflict, on the belief that we can take on the biggest, the boldest, and come out victorious. That's how I've lived my life. The former champion then makes his pitch explicit, suggesting the White House event would serve as the perfect platform to showcase American martial excellence. I can't help but think what a better way to celebrate America's fight than for its best fighters to put it on full display, to remind the world who we are, not just a country of words, but of warriors. Jones concludes with a not-so-subtle reference to the proposed venue. Maybe somewhere iconic, or maybe on a certain someone's lawn. All I know is I'm fueled up, fired up, and ready. God bless the United States of America, and God bless the fighters who carry its spirit. This public relations push comes just weeks after Jones publicly admitted he wanted to apologize to White for verbally agreeing to fight Aspinall before backing out, a clear attempt to mend fences and improve his chances of securing the White House opportunity. The coordinated campaign demonstrates Jones's understanding that landing a spot on the landmark card requires not just athletic merit, but strategic relationship management and narrative crafting. Whether this approach will sway White remains uncertain, but Jones has positioned himself as the fighter most actively campaigning for participation in what promises to be one of the most significant events in UFC history.
The once imminent championship aspirations of Shavkat Rakhmonov are facing uncertainty, according to reigning welterweight champion Della Maddalena, who believes the relentless pace of the 170-pound division has moved past the inactive contender. Rakhmonov, once considered a near-certain future champion with an unblemished 18-0 record and 18 finishes, hasn't competed since late 2024, when he earned a decision victory over Ian Machado Gary. His planned title shot against Belal Muhammad at UFC 315 evaporated due to injury, creating an opening that Della Maddalena seized by defeating Muhammad to claim the welterweight throne. Now, as Della Maddalena prepares to defend his title against Islam Makhachev at UFC 322, he questions whether Rakhmonov still deserves the top contender position after his extended absence. "It's hard for me to tell," Della Maddalena told MMAfighting.com. "I think the division has moved on. If you stay inactive, you kind of fall behind. I think that's where it is." The champion pointed to the consistent activity of other top welterweights as the measuring stick that Rakhmonov has failed to match. Someone like Sean Brady has been so active. Ian Gary, these guys are very active. How can Shavkat stay in that top position when these guys are fighting guys? Della Maddalena's assessment highlights the cutthroat nature of the UFC's welterweight division, where momentum can shift rapidly based on activity and high-profile victories. While Rakhmonov's pedigree remains unquestioned, with dominant wins over Stephen Thompson, Jeff Neal, and Gary, his extended layoff has allowed other contenders to build their cases. The landscape could shift dramatically based on UFC 322 outcomes. Sean Brady faces Nickal Morales in a bout that could position the winner for title consideration, while former champion Leon Edwards looks to re-establish himself against Carlos Prates. Should Makhachev capture the welterweight title, it would create an entirely new championship picture that might further complicate Rakhmonov's path back to contention. Della Maddalena maintained a champion's diplomatic stance, noting, "It's a hard one, but I'll just do whatever I'm told. Whoever's next is who the UFC tells me is next." But his comments underscore the reality that in today's UFC, even the most talented fighters risk being left behind if they can't maintain consistent activity in the sport's most competitive divisions. As Rakhmonov continues his recovery, the welterweight division marches forward without him, creating a challenging path back to the title shot that once seemed inevitable for the undefeated Kazakh star.
As Jack Della Maddalena prepares for the most significant challenge of his championship reign, he's received strategic counsel from an unlikely source, a former opponent of his upcoming challenger. Reigning UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski, who faced Islam Makhachev twice in memorable battles, has shared detailed insights on how the welterweight champion can successfully defend his throne against the legendary grappler. In a newly released YouTube video, Volkanovski provided a technical blueprint that emphasizes avoiding Makhachev's world while exploiting potential vulnerabilities that emerge as the fight progresses. "Jack's great on the ground, but we don't want it to go to the ground," Volkanovski stated, establishing the fundamental priority. Even though Jack's did there, that's Islam's world. That's all he does 24/7 since he was walking. He probably started wrestling before he started walking. The great drew from his own hard-earned experience against Makhachev, highlighting the critical importance of strategic scrambling and energy management. Do we want to go there? Be okay with the scrambles if you're comfortable enough in the scrambles, and keep that urgency, and use your weight and hopefully wear on him. Obviously, I was able to tire him from all them little scrambles. Can Jack be effective where he can burn him there? Volkanovski identified fatigue as the key factor that could shift the fight in Maddalena's favor. Take the gas away. Again, if he's going to be complacent in the wrestling and then wait until he's on his back to build up, you're not going to tire Islam there. The featherweight champion stressed that Maddalena must adopt a proactive defensive approach rather than a reactive one. The core strategy, according to Volkanovski, revolves around Maddalena leveraging his strengths while systematically draining Makhachev's resources. Jack needs to keep it on the feet. I'm going to try and beat you on the feet. I'm going to keep you away. I'm going to have nice, strong hips. I'm going to be very stubborn on the feet, stubborn on the wrestling. If it goes down, stubborn to build myself back up. And he's a great grappler, so he can definitely do that. This advice carries particular weight given Volkanovski's competitive performances against Makhachev, especially in their first encounter, where his scrambling ability and cardio presented unexpected challenges for the lightweight legend. Maddalena enters UFC 322 as the betting underdog, but Volkanovski's analysis suggests a path to victory that capitalizes on Makhachev's move up in weight and the champion's proven takedown defense against elite wrestlers like Belal Muhammad. As fight night approaches, the question remains whether Maddalena can implement this game plan against one of the most dominant forces in UFC history, or if Makhachev's legendary grappling will transcend weight classes and claim a second championship for the Dagestani star. As Sean O'Malley and his team prepare for a targeted January return to the octagon, the bantamweight star finds himself at the center of multiple compelling matchup discussions, including a newly proposed City Boy versus Country Boy showdown from an unlikely challenger. O'Malley's coach, Tim Welch, revealed on the Ariel Helwani show that they're already preparing for a potential early 2026 comeback. Hopefully in January. In January, Welch stated. We're kind of keeping him ready. Just got done sparring right now, so we're starting to get his body ready to go for a battle. When discussing potential opponents, Welch highlighted two particularly intriguing options. He expressed strong interest in a bout with Song Yadong, calling it an exciting fight that makes sense in the title picture landscape. More surprisingly, Welch pointed to Ayman Zahabi, brother of famed coach Firas Zahabi, as another compelling challenge, noting Zahabi's impressive resume that includes victories over Pedro Munhoz, Jose Aldo, and Marlon Chito Vera. I think that's another exciting fight that we could look really good in, Welch added, suggesting they see stylistic advantages in that matchup. Meanwhile, former featherweight contender Bryce Mitchell has thrown his hat into the ring with a characteristically unique call-out framed as City Boy versus Country Boy. Following his successful bantamweight debut victory over Saeed Nurmagomedov, Mitchell described a potential O'Malley matchup as the biggest fight and his biggest potential opponent, though he acknowledged his newcomer status in the division might delay such a high-profile booking. Mitchell's call-out adds an intriguing new dimension to the bantamweight landscape. Known for his unapologetically rural persona and formidable grappling skills, Thug Nasty represents a stark stylistic and personality contrast to O'Malley's flashy striking and urban aesthetic. This clash of styles and backgrounds would undoubtedly capture the imagination of fight fans, even if Mitchell recognizes he may need another victory or two to truly earn the opportunity. For O'Malley, these developments highlight both his marketability and the difficult decisions facing his career trajectory. Does he pursue the established contenders like Song Yadong that his coach prefers, entertain an unconventional but compelling matchup against Mitchell, or await the outcome of the division's title picture? With training already underway for a January return, the bantamweight division's future is taking shape with Sugar Sean once again at the center of the conversation.
Bo Nickal is approaching his first professional loss with the same analytical mindset that made him a wrestling champion, choosing to extract value from criticism rather than retreat from it as he prepares for his UFC 322 comeback against Rodolfo Vieira. The highly touted prospect, who suffered a stunning body shot knockout against Rainier de Ridder in May, addressed the wave of criticism that followed his first MMA defeat during UFC 322 Media Day. Rather than becoming defensive, Nickal demonstrated remarkable perspective in processing the feedback. I think anytime there's criticism, you can take it personally and let it be a hit to your ego, or you can look at it and analyze it and try to be unbiased, Nickal stated. I feel like a lot of the stuff, there's some truth to it. You can maybe look at it that way or perceive it that way, and maybe there is a little truth there, but I feel like it's really lacking the whole picture. This measured response reflects Nickal's maturity in navigating the transition from hyped prospect to rebuilding contender. Interestingly, he revealed that the loss actually generated more support than his previous victories, countering the narrative that fans had abandoned him after his first setback. I actually got way more love and support after my last loss than I did even my wins previous, Nickal revealed. It was something I was surprised with. I figured everybody would kind of jump ship and let me be. The amount of support and love that I had probably 50% more text messages and people saying things like, "Keep your head up and you'll be back," and stuff like that. The three-time NCAA wrestling champion described his training camp adjustments as primarily mental rather than technical. I think that for me, it felt like a lot of changes because I really just changed a lot of stuff mentally and had a lot of focus and intensity and motivation with my training. He's embraced the learning opportunity, stating, "I think the loss has been something that's been really good for me, something that I'm grateful for." In a moment of self-deprecating humor, Nickal acknowledged his previous confidence had been tempered by reality, particularly regarding his placement on the UFC 322 card. He made a pretty arrogant comment in an interview that of course I would be on the main card. A lot of people have given me a lot of flack for that. Your guys' wishes were fulfilled. I'll be headlining the prelims. Congratulations, everybody. This blend of humility and determination suggests Nickal has used his first professional setback as fuel for growth rather than allowing it to define him. As he prepares to face grappling specialist Vieira in what promises to be a compelling stylistic clash, Nickal appears to have emerged from his first loss with greater perspective and purpose, understanding that in the forgiving world of MMA, how a fighter responds to adversity often reveals more than how they handle success.